the Francisco Sarabia Museum. So, let's go.
This museum is a tribute that the town of Lerdo, Durango, paid to one of his most notable and beloved sons, Captain Air Pilot Francisco Sarabia Tinoco, historical figure of the Mexican aviation who, in his aircraft, Granville Miller and the Lackner R-6H, known as the Conqueror of the Sky, made one of the most amazing things around the world. In this aircraft, Francisco Sarabia made 6 worldwide speed records, being the most important of all, the flight of May 9, 1939, between Mexico City and New York, bringing with him a message of fraternity between the two countries. With a time of 10 hours, 48 minutes, he breaks the mark that had the American aviator Amelia Earhart of 14 hours, 19 minutes. In the early morning of May 24th, thousands of people gathered to dismiss him in the airfield of Balbuena in Mexico City. There were people from all social classes of Mexico, politicians, celebrities, children, militaries, etc. Practically, Sarabia reached the Floyd Bennett Airfield in New York, now a park, with only 1 gallon of fuel in the tank, which forced him to complete his flight carrying out a very risky maneuver. It consists of landing on downwind because the amount of fuel was not enough even to circumnavigate the airfield and place the aircraft in the most appropriate guidance for the landing. A historical form for an incredible flight. On their way back, moments after takeoff from the Washington airport, the Conqueror of the Sky and his pilot, Francisco Sarabia, collapsed, never to fly again, in the icy waters of the Anacostia River, a tributary of the Potomac River. The tragic death of Francisco Sarabia marked the end of the Mexican Eagle period, which crossed the sky in all directions to open commercial aviation routes. By presidential decree, his mortal remains rest since then in the Rotunda de los Hombres Ilustres in Mexico City. Before his death, he received a lot of letters from the President Lázaro Cárdenas del Río, also from the President of the United States, from his family and friends, but he also sent and wrote some letters. If you visit the museum, you can find some of those letters, as well as his personal things, for example, his clothes and the parachute that he never used. For example, here we can see a short message that his mother sent to him. He said that his mother always remembered him. We can see Francisco's face made of steel. We can find like 2 others like this one. Here is his logbook, where he records the hours, the minutes, and distance of his travels. There are also the flight licenses of Francisco Sarabia Tinoco, from the first to the last one until his death. This is an important treasure that I have here in the museum. We can see his inseparable companions of personal use. For example, his safety razor, the mirror, a comb, his perfume, and other things. Also, here are the last letters that he received from his children, and even a postcard of Jesus Christ. The news of this great feat reached all the country and even the world. In all the newspapers of that time were talking about what he did. In 1929, he meets the marriage formed by Lita and Henry Wishart, who were aerial acrobats. Francisco is interested in their job, so he decides to join them. The aerial circus began in the United States and Mexico, Coahuila, Nuevo León, Tamaulipas, Durango, and Chihuahua. Here we can see one of the announcements of the circus. The President of the United States congratulated him in this short message for his achievement. The United States and Mexico received him with tears of disbelief. In Mexico City, is received with cheers. Viva Sarabia! Viva Mexico! The radio doesn't stop saying the news. However, we know the tragic fate of Sarabia. We can see a death mask in bronze of this great hero. The museum visitors can also see the leather suit that the Mexican pilot used until the last day of his life, as well as the boots and the parachute that was impossible to use during the tragic accident due to the low altitude. The museum was opened in 1972 as a tribute to the great pilot Francisco Sarabia, when the mayor of Lerdo, Durango was Leobardo Martinez. Then on February 8, 2013, was reopening by the mayor Roberto Carmona Jauregui. He included screens, a map showing the records of Sarabia, a mural of Sarabia, where you can see different images that were part of his life. The mural was created by the architect Gerardo Beuchot Puentes. It's an amazing work. If you see attentive to the image, we can see some drawings of Leonardo da Vinci referring to the flight, different animals that can fly, Francisco Sarabia when he was a boy, the airplane, the conqueror of the sky, the airport, Francisco Sarabia. There are a lot of other figures. If you have the opportunity to visit, please do it. It's part of the Mexican history, so it's important to know it. In addition to this information, I have to say that the international airport of Torreón is called Francisco Sarabia, as well as the national airport in Tuxtla Gutiérrez, Chiapas. The main street of Lerdo, Durango is called Francisco Sarabia. The government of Mexico announced a commemorative postal stamp in honor to this Mexican hero. As I already said, if you haven't had the opportunity to visit this museum, please do it now. It's an amazing experience and you will enjoy it.
El campo de Balbuena se alzó hasta el firmamento. Un pájaro de acero con rumbo a Nueva York. Ligero como el aire, más rápido que el viento, perdiéndose en las nubes, a todo dijo adiós.